Hi, I'm Ellie Heidorn. I'm a senior studying marketing, and I'm a teaching assistant for the business communications classes. UBCC is the Undergrad Business Career Center. It's located on the second floor of Hanson Hall, and it's used for students like you who are looking to better your writing or to have your assignments sound really well to turn in for your classes. They offer mentoring skills, things to help you prepare for jobs, and things like that as well.
So if I write up a response to an assignment or like a memo or whatever is the assignment or a slide deck, I can just bring it there and then they'll look at it for me?
You do need to call ahead. There are numbers on Carlson's website that you can find, or you can go in person. You have to make an appointment to be seen by someone. And once you've done that, then you set up a time and you go in with your assignment at that time and they can help you in there. Otherwise, your TA, someone like myself, that's part of my job, is to help you with those assignments. You would be surprised how often students don't reach out to the TAs. I can tell because I look at a lot of people's assignments, so I know when students are struggling. But people aren't reaching out. So that's another really great resource that people aren't utilizing enough. I know what students should be doing and I have the resources to help them, but sometimes they just aren't reaching out. So that's another avenue that you can go through if you need help. I would say in business writing, business people are busy and they don't have time to read through all of the fluff that sometimes gets put into English writing and other types of writing. Business people want to see a document that they can skim really easily and that has all the key points that they can really easily pull out and understand in about 10 to 15 seconds of skimming a document that you're going to turn in. So that's something that people definitely struggle with when they're taking this business communications course, for example, because a lot of times this is the first time that students have really had to write fully in business language. And they're not used to writing in skimmable form and big headlines with summary style headings. People haven't used that before. They're more used to title, and summary is supposed to summarize exactly what you're going to be saying so that they can pull out the key details really quickly. So those are the types of things that business writing is looking for versus other types of writing styles. Email is supposed to be a more formal way of communicating with people. It's really important that when you're emailing someone, a TA, a professor, a business professional, someone that you're addressing it to who it's for. Either dear or hello or good afternoon. Those types of salutations to begin with are important. And then using their name, Miss or Mrs., or just their formal first name is fine too. And then including a nice body in there, and then you should close with your name. Some people forget to have a signature with their name or just to simply type their name. When I'm writing an email, I certainly want to use a sense of professionalism, but I also want to make sure that I'm not losing who I am and kind of trying to bring that across through an email. So I typically like to start my emails with something like good afternoon or good morning or whatever time of day I'm sending, and then kind of say whatever I'm feeling like saying, and then ending with something like thank you or have a great day, Ellie. And I think those types of things are really helpful when, just changing a little bit from saying hi or hello. Those are kind of generic ways of starting emails. And then as I progress through with a relationship with someone, sometimes those emails can then change a little bit as you've built a little rapport with someone. Maybe every time then you don't need to say hello, Mr. Johnson. Then maybe you're on a first name basis, or you can just state your emails with hello as you're kind of progressing through that relationship. I would say that, again, I talked a little bit about the skimmability, that you don't want to send an email that someone's going to click open and be like, oh, I do not have time to read this today. You want someone to open it, be able to find what points you're trying to make so that they can understand, reply back to you in a really timely manner. So I would say keeping your emails, unless you're going into something really in depth, I would say probably try to keep it to about a paragraph. That seems to be most effective with emails. You can include headings or bullet points in an email if you were trying to convey, if you had to email out a memo and it wasn't something that people were going to click on and fully read or something that was going to be sent around, then certainly you should be using subheadings and bullets so that people, again, can pull out those main ideas. It kind of depends depends on what type of document you're doing with how many bullets you want to use, because people tend to sometimes actually overuse bullets. Sometimes you can open up a slide document or a memo and it's just bullet, 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 bullet. And sometimes that's really not the right approach to go down. Sometimes those bullets can actually be kind of overwhelming when you're reading. So if you're doing a small paragraph, you really shouldn't have more than about 3 or 4 bullets underneath each subparagraph, unless you have so many things to say. But then maybe using a type of graphic or smart art or something like that would be a better avenue to go through to convey that information versus a whole page or whole paragraph full of bullet points. Smart art is a graphic that you can use on Microsoft Word or in Microsoft PowerPoint. They have a bunch of different templates that you can use for pro-con lists or for circle diagrams or things like that to help you kind of explain what you're trying to do in a more skimmable document. Typically, when you're making a PowerPoint, you are starting off with a template, but PowerPoint isn't quite advanced enough yet to have a lot of built-in components into PowerPoint, other than the smart art that we just talked about. But looking up something that I found really helpful for creating some kind of creative or some different looking PowerPoints is simply just going into Google and typing in title slide example, and then kind of looking at some other types of resources to kind of get some ideas of, hey, what kind of looks nice together, or what's a way that I can make this look really business professional, and just kind of drawing some ideas. And I really use the shapes button actually a lot. In Word or PowerPoint, they have that, and you can draw different shapes, and I use that a lot to kind of just create a little bit of depth and dimension into my PowerPoint, so it's not all just bullet points or something like that.
Right, so are you trying for some kind of a balance between graphics and text?
Yeah, you absolutely want to make sure that when you're making business documents that you're not having all text or all graphics, because one way or the other it can be a little bit overwhelming. So having a nice mix of, maybe a graphic every other slide or something like that is a good way to kind of mix that in with your text. I am a really big proponent of photos if they are used in the correct way. And what I mean by that is if they're explained appropriately and that they're not fuzzy. Something that I comment a lot on students' work is what we call a graphic plop. And that means that someone just throws a graphic on a slide and there's no explanation, we don't know why it's there, it doesn't really relate to the text, so what's going on? And sometimes if those graphics would have just been explained with a little text box or an arrow pointing to it, it would have been really helpful for advancing what their point was. But sometimes that piece is missing, and that's when graphics really become not as helpful for documents. I really like students' work when 2 things happen. I really like students' work when I can see their personality and kind of their ideas behind why they did things kind of show through their writing. I think that's a really hard thing to do, but when you learn to kind of find your voice through writing and that can shine through, I think that's a really fun thing to read. And 2, when you can learn how to make PowerPoints in a professional way, so you're using the graphics that we discussed, or you're using, a nice font, or your layout is very easy to read and very clear. I think that kind of pushes you above the rest. I think those are really fun PowerPoints and graphics to get to read, and it definitely, sets you apart.